live stream. So I'm gonna be frank with the reason I said in the title, trial and error. Most of the stuff we have to do in order to learn is for trial and error. When you have experience, there's no need for the trial and error. But when you're still learning, you're still making mistakes, and there's still that stuff like concepts, you understand things, but because you've never practically done something, you don't understand how things actually assemble or how things are meant to be. You have a bunch of information, and across different things you do, there's going to be maybe slight differences. So something might update and it will slightly change, or it might majorly change that you're not familiar with the update. And you have to learn through trial and error. So today I've got the piston, I've got the ring compressor, I've got the rings. I'm putting everything together. I'm just no, that while my dad is experienced, he is not a professional with this stuff. He's not proficient with engine reconditioning. He's only done that one engine there, which could have made a mistake with it, and we don't know until he fires it up and breaks it. So what we learnt from yesterday was we thought the rings were bent. Oh my God. We figured out and learnt that the rings were not bent. They were just on upside down. There is a chamfered edge, and when my dad put the ruler across that chamfered edge, he saw the chamfer and not the bend. There was no bend in it that was affecting it and going to cause any issues. In fact, the engine recon guy that supplied the parts, he even said that these are fine. He fixed it. He made sure that they were right because you're a bunch of trouble, young fella. That's what he said. So I'll respect him because he's fixed this and, hasn't cursed at me today. But that's one of the things. I don't like cursing, but I do curse myself, and everyone around me curses. So without further ado, we need to get into this. So to put the piston in, there's a trial and error thing I learned. I put the piston in, then put the compressor on. A bunch of people said, no, don't do it on. Then slide the piston into the bore. If it requires force, you're probably going to break a ring. As you saw, I didn't break any rings. I wasn't actually hitting the hammer that hard. So the swing would have been like bang, bang, bang. And in some cases, I swung a little bit harder, but I wasn't like bang. I wasn't doing that. I was going. That last one was not how I was hitting it. And if I did it that hard, I swear to God, it would have smashed the ring. But there's also not as much weight behind this hammer as another hammer. The more weight you have behind a hammer, the more likely it is to break something. So this will be okay. The stick will be okay. This absorbs some of the shock from stuff. And I don't have much room. It's one of the things I'm sick of. Now, the pistons are mixed up. Good news is, number one is right here. I've also got markings. And the way I've done it in two ways. One, I put numbers on the others, but this case, I've only got one dot. So that signifies piston 1. It's okay so long as you don't take too much material off, but I haven't taken off that much, so it's alright. Now, I don't know how to do these videos without tools. I'll figure something out. Stupid idea, though. Something's gonna get broken. Oh, no! I was hoping to grab this, drag this over here, then use the hooks to sort of, hook it up. And this could work. Could. Not necessarily. Not a good idea. Not a good... There's, with that hook there, I should put something over it to make sure it's not going to scratch the screen up, because it's going to scratch the screen up. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so please work. How crude you gotta be. I don't even know what you can see, guys. I can't even see the screen. Because we've got to look over there. It's just not enough information. I can't get enough information in the video. No! Stop looking at the ground! This is horrible trying to continue this. I'm just going to stack a whole bunch of stuff in front of that hook and hopefully pick her up enough that we can look straight ahead. No, it's not working. Okay, so I was hoping to use that hook as my camera holder thing. That obviously isn't going to work. This is what sucks when you don't have tools, and I'm not going to buy tools because it's not worth it for me. It's dead money, which is what I was talking to my neighbor about. The fact is, if you can't make use of it, what's the point in buying it? I can make use of it for the videos, but it doesn't benefit me in any real world way. That it's just, it's not viable for me to do that, especially with what I make videos from down here, which is just annoying. Actually not. I'm probably gonna just do something else. Can I jerry rig something to work? I'm gonna get a towel. I've got an idea, but I need to get a bunch of stuff because I can. I'm gonna use the roof of this car to put a box on it, hopefully to make this work. And so no guarantees it's gonna work, but oh. That's sort of okay. Does that work? It works! I don't know if anything's gonna go anywhere, but looks like it'll be okay. Normally you should wear goggles or glasses or something, guys. They shouldn't normally. This is kind of a good moment. So what I gotta do with the rings positioning, the rule of thumb that I read from, because I didn't get it really much of a guide on how to do this, the rule of thumb that I got given from, what were they called, Harmon Engines or something? I can't remember who they were called. I found an article that told me bent rings, blah blah blah. It told me how you don't spiral the top compression rings on. What you do with the rings is you put one 180 degrees this way, put another 180 degrees that way, and another one 180 degrees this way. And you have to do it where the arrow is facing the front, you put the first ring on face with the opening on this side. So if that's the front, the opening has to be over here. This is the expansion point. And then over here is number 2, number 3 is over here. But you might have more than that depending on your engine. There's only 3 here, so there's not really much to go right or wrong. I'm going to now grab the compressor tool. Get it on. And then what I've got to do is I go screw this up. This is if I could get one clip more, I'd be happy. But it's sealed around the bottom, it's tight, it's not perfect. Better not jump rings. And then drop this in here. If I want to make sure it's tight, that's another thing I should do. They also say to put oil the rings and oil everything when you do it. So I'm going to oil this face, this edge. So it's like a glaze, and this has sharp edges on it. And this is like engine honey that's in this thing. Is it 2 viewers? I can't read this screen, it's a 0. It looks like a 2 from over here. It's unbelievable information. I think there's 2 people, which there isn't. Now, that just drops in. Boom. I'll clean my hands off a little bit more. Tissue box here. I just wipe my hands. This will be alright. Now, I want to be absolutely certain that this is going to not be a problem, so I'm going to make sure I get my tool. I'm going to make sure I go here. One click. So I've over tightened that on purpose. I want to make sure it's not going to be a problem. And now we should be able to tap her in. And she just slides down. Piston's installed! Yeah! That's the first piston in the cylinder, perfectly installed. Guys, that is impressive to know that in a day we've all... So it's in there nice and flush. It's ready to go together. Right after this though, we have to do the head test thing to make sure we know what the head gasket sizes we need to do this all correctly. So there is a bunch of information still there. It was 34, I believe, was the poundage, the piston, or something. Come on. Actually, she's in now, so what we should do is get this towel out. And figure out how many of those. One hose is gone, 2 hoses are gone. Okay. There they are. You don't want to scratch them up, so put these back on your studs that are on your pistons, Conrod. So you don't scratch up the crank. Okay, so what we're going to do, there we go, boom! Now, this is the best part. I get to put on the very first cap. Now, I can't put this straight on because I need to put oil on it. But what I can do, this piston should not fall out. It's not loose enough. I'm careful enough. I'm just making sure the piston isn't going to come out. So it probably could slide. Turn upside down. Because it only happens under certain conditions. There's friction holding the piston in place. A ton of friction. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to oil that. I'm going to quickly smear off any contaminants off the surface. And then I've got to figure out which way these caps go on. And I remember how they went on because the groove was on the same side. So that's number 1. And I think that's backwards. I think it's backwards. I don't know. Let me just validate this. I've got another piston here, and there's like a number on it, and all of them have the arrows. So these are all assembled correctly. Arrow, and when you're looking from the front of the motor, the number is facing the front, the arrow. The number is facing the arrow. So take the piston, shut the bolts and pistons in, stay clean. The number is facing the arrow. So if I read it from front, it's where it's meant to be. If I grab the tension wrench, extension bar, it should be around here somewhere. The cracking. Yeah. We're getting there, guys. Look at this. We're almost there with the very first piston, and it's exciting because once she's together, we don't have to think about her anymore. Yeah, we tension those. I just got to check the oil. I'm just checking the oil jets on here because I remember I put them in, and I'm absolutely certain I put them down the specs. I didn't leave them loose, and if they're loose, I could easily check them by hand and make sure I didn't leave them loose, because there's all risks here with doing what we're doing. Okay, so what we're next going to do is, this is meant to be down on 34, so what I'm going to do, take it down 30, this is about 34 here, Newton meters of torque. Oh, it's actually, sorry, it's not 34 Newton meters, it's 34 foot-pound. There we go. Our first piston seems to be installed. And she's nice and loose as a goose. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some oil on the bottom end. Fill her up with some oil, make sure she's got some lube. Okay, so now the next step, because we want to do this, the point at which we have to do this is to turn the whole motor over, just get heavier. Come on, beast! Now at the point, oh my god, I can almost turn this by hand. Okay guys, it's almost flush. There is almost no protrusion of these pistons. So I guess that's kind of good, kind of bad. Because of the two different types of pistons though, there's two different measurements to follow. and you still have to do the measurements. I believe, based on this piston type, it looks like it might not be a because it is not really a protruding type, it's more of a recessed type. There's literally almost no material hovering above. There is, but there isn't much. So, next job here is grab one tool and two. So these are the two tools we need to do the measurements. I've got to clean them a little bit, dust buster them, and then I can get to use them. So, what I just said here is this tool here needs to be a bit wiped off because it's got a bit of dirt on it. And it's got to be used for the pistons over the deck, and the measurement is going to help us determine what the size of the thickness gasket is. I can't tell you on camera because everything's going to hell, making it hard to do stuff. So I got a certificate of something, certified product inspection. Quality manufacturing standards. Okay. So next up, to set this tool, you've got to get the cover off the tool, put the cover down. This goes into this side here. And I've set it up here because it needs to stay up. So the clock has been done. Next up, to do this, the deck. Ah. Okay, so she's on 0. So what we're going to do is get it. Seven zero. That's 25,000. This might be 0. Just below 7 there. I'm not sure why it's so hard to get the right measurement, but it's meant to be a certain depth, and this is a terrible gauge. It doesn't really work very well. I made this gauge up. It's 70.5. Should we go this way? It's 0.7 mil. 0.75 mil. Or 0.0. It's about 0.7. So now I gotta make sure you guys can read this. The protrusion over here is 0.7. If I go and hold this up, slide back over the block, it goes to 0. So it's up. I shouldn't be grabbing it from the gauge, it will give me a bad reading. It changes every time, but it's 0.7. Our first reading I got was 7.5, but it was really reading out. There's various reasons why. One, if your tool's not parallel in the block, it won't work. Two, if the screw is loose, it will probably go up or down. Yeah. So what I got to do now, guys, is I got to figure out what gasket thickness is standard for this deck to identify if or not we should put a different size gasket on this. 0.705 is not very much. It doesn't sound like much, but it is a lot in a diesel compression ignition engine. It counts for probably every millimeter is probably worth about 30 psi. Okay, so I'm guessing that. I don't know for certain, but my compression with the thickest gasket I've got is 440 to 520 with a low compression bottom end and a high compression top end. Okay, guys, see you in